legend of Rempe will never fade. Crank it louder, feel the heat. Barbecue anthems forever sweet. Get in the smoke, yeah, the fire won't die. With central lights cheering, the flames reach the sky. Raise your glass.
Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Some call him a fool, some even call him a douchebag. But I say Greg Rempe is the greatest thing to happen to barbecue since caveman.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
The really big Barbecue Central Show. Yes. We've made it back. Week off. But here we are. Second Tuesday in June. This is the show where we talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening on the show this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it is the second Tuesday of a month, and in his second quarterly visit, the creator of AmazingRibs.com, Barbecue Hall of Famer, and Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer, Meathead. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a specific topic, one that is deeply important to my oldest daughter, Bobby. Hot dogs. Yeah, deeply important. There might be no bigger fan of hot dogs, a.k.a. glizzies, than Bobby. She has talked about it a number of times as she has appeared as a guest on this show. We got her a hot dog bun steamer for Easter this year. And it was, you might as well thought we gave her $1 billion. She was so excited, brought it to work. It cooks 24 hot dogs and steams 12 buns. I don't know. I mean, I like a hot dog here and again, but she very, very much appreciates a nice hot dog. So we'll be talking about hot dogs with Meathead, regionalities, special ones, mass market ones, the whole deal. Are they lips and assholes? For crying out loud. So Meathead tonight shortly. And then after Meathead, it is 35 past the first hour, and it'll bring our monthly visit from the contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living magazine, Robert Moss. So we'll talk about some potential Bahamian barbecue routes. We'll probably dip into the Caribbean barbecue routes. We'll talk about how he wrote an article on Oh, the world and the skies are falling for barbecue restaurants. It's doing the opposite also for barbecue restaurants. And can they be mutually exclusive? Can they both be happening at the same time? So that'll bring a close to the first hour. Then we will move to the second hour because I was off last week. He has reloaded for the second week, and about 30 minutes later than usual, 14 past the second hour, and the creator of Another Pint Please, Mike Lang, will join us. Oh boy, do we have some great things to talk about with Mike. There was a new Weber Santa Maria style grill released months before that. Well, technically it hasn't been released into the market. That's coming next year, but they have trotted it out. Almost like a pre-order on books these days. They've trotted out the Santa Maria style grill Weber has. Now, the Blackstone version, because those two companies together, is available for sale. And so we'll talk about if he has used both of them or either of them, and if he has used both, how do they, of course, talk about, or how do they compare, contrast to each other? 2 weeks ago, we were talking about would you buy the Weber over the Blackstone version, and nobody on the Embedded Correspondence thought that they would buy one or the other. And I said, well, between the two, I would buy the Weber version, just from a potential quality build standpoint. So that'll be Mike Lang, 14 past the second hour. And then closing it out tonight, first-time guest and the VP of Operations and Culinary Innovation at the World Food Championships, Chris Tanner. Strongman? So excited to have a first-time conversation with Chris, see what he's doing at World Food Championships. Like, what does that title actually mean when you put the rubber to the road? Talk a little bit about his cooking background, all that fun stuff. So Chris Tanner to close out the show. And that's how the entirety of the show is laying out here. Meathead and Robert Moss in a first hour, Mike Lang and a Chris Tanner in a second hour. Don't forget, you can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, all with the handles at BBQ Central Show. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, but not Meathead. We have way too many important things to talk about than Would You Rathers with Meathead. But for everybody else, would you rather be able to erase people's memory or predict their future? I know I typed it out. Well, it appears there is no YouTube poll question of the week currently sitting on YouTube, so I will have to remedy that situation as we are in the brief break before Meathead comes on. Results of the poll question from what is 2 weeks ago: would you rather abolish war or find a cure for every cancer? 87% said they would rather find a cure for every cancer, and 13% of you are wrong. All right, so let's talk about it. Yes, you can see for me, sun-kissed, as it were. I am back from yet another successful vacation in the Bahamas, on Paradise Island, at the Atlantis Resort, specifically the Cove. And while there appeared to potentially be tragedy at the Cove Resort on Atlantis, because the traditional Cove, specifically the pool and lounge-about area, was under high construction. Torn down, gates and blockades up. You can't get by it because there's nothing to get to, by the way. So how are they going to make a all-adult, which also means no kids, pool at Atlantis? Because all of these pools have been already delegated for time after time. Well, wouldn't you know, the geniuses over there were able to figure something out, and they were able to put together a much larger Cove pool existing. They were able to keep the snot-nosed punks out, mostly. And most importantly, the deck side service was certainly nothing but gold level spectacular. So we came in on a Saturday, and then we vacated the following Saturday. We stayed an extra whole day than we normally would. I think we could have stayed an extra 2 more days than we normally would. I could still be there right today. This is the first time I've ever been on a vacation where, like, on day 5, I said, could we possibly look at moving here to the Bahamas and make a go of it right here on Nassau Island? And of course, we hit AI immediately. We started putting in all the right questions. We quickly find out that's probably not a great idea.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Everything's expensive. Do you need to make a lot of money to live there necessarily? No. Of course, I can't do what I do here in Cleveland in the Bahamas. There were a lot of negatives. But the biggest negative currently is that gas in the Bahamas is trending towards $8 a gallon, and everything is shipped in or flown in, which means food costs go up 50-60% than what we're used to. Plus, I talked to a couple that live there who were staying at the resort, and they went on and on about how the basic necessities of a handyman, a plumber, roll of the dice at best. Didn't go out of their way to sell me on coming to the Bahamas for life. But boy, I was definitely interested. First time ever, I was interested in not leaving vacation. So that probably happens as you get older at my advanced age of almost 52 next month. We're a month out from 52, gang, if you can believe it. Time is almost up, but I'll keep plugging along. Hey, what do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient, yes. We love that you can achieve those low and slow traditional barbecue temps, yes. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot when you want to do the high searing of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday round ceramic cookers? You can't really do 2-zone fires there. Like, can you use it? Yeah. Is it really 2-zone? Not really. Enter Primo and the game-changing oval design that really allows you to execute a 2-zone setup that you desire. 2-zone setup, very important to our next guest, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Loves 2-zone fire. If you can't 2-zone fire, you're probably getting scored down at AmazingRibs.com. So take that to note, manufacturers. A little free piece of advice from your pal Greg at the Barbecue Central Show. Primo only sold through dealers, so you have to find one local to you. How do you do it? Go to primogrill.com and find a dealer nearest you, then visit in person. Check out all the ovals that they offer. And remember, when we talk about best ceramics in the biz, you go to their factory, they have all of the ceramic cookers in their kiln, and they close the door. They fire it up, and the only one left standing is the Primo. Best ceramics, proven time and time again. The others literally can't take the heat. Primogrill.com. We're back with Meathead right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. My first guest this evening has done it. He has created the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website not only in the state of Illinois or the state of Ohio, but the whole state of the globe. A best-selling author, a Barbecue Hall of Famer, a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. I should say two-time author, actually. Of course, it's our pal, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Hey, Meathead.
Hey, Greg and Centralites. Greg, I got a question for you.
All right.
You were using a word I'm not familiar with.
Go
What
ahead.
is this thing called, a vacation?
Yeah, you're going to go on one in like 10 months, I think you said.
Yes. One of these days.
Where's the countdown?
these
Last
days.
time you
Hey.
were on, you said you were going to be taking a vacation in year 2026.
I am. Actually, we bought a package for the Rose Bowl. We're going to go out to see
right.
the floats being built and the parade and the football game. So I'm psyched for that. Hey, I like your new theme song. But it says 17 years. What are you going to do next year?
Well, the guy that made it is going to have to re-record it.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Greg, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? What the hell happened
no.
again this year?
What are you talking about this for? Who even cares?
Well, who'd you piss off?
Well, I don't know if you know, Meathead, but I think last year, I got to think about my words here. I apologize in advance if I mistakenly speak out of school here, but this might not have been with you. But I recall having a conversation with somebody, maybe on or off air, and said, and I didn't say, like, why didn't I make it in? Like, I've long maintained, who gives a shit? They said something to the effect of, he had his time, and like, so now it's past. Like, I had a window to get in, and I didn't get in, and now that window shall never open again, or something along these lines.
That's bullshit. All right.
What do you think of the class of 2026? You were a voting member.
Good class. They're absolutely well-deserved. None of them more well-deserved than you, but yeah, Malcolm Reed, oh my goodness. Yeah, great people.
Yeah.
I voted for everyone on that list. I'm very happy. But yeah, that we won't dwell on the politics, which is unfortunate.
Well, what do you think,
But we're here to
Meathead?
talk
Like,
hot
what
dogs.
do I need to do?
I don't know.
You're my
I mean,
biggest
obviously
champion.
Obviously, you pissed somebody off. I mean, there's obviously a blackball on your name for some reason.
Well, we'll dig into it. I'll sick one of my embedded correspondents to do a little covert ops, and maybe in 3 months' time we'll have a story. So, as you said, big topic tonight. The topic that is top of mind on Bobby Rempe's mind every single second of every single day, hot dogs. I'm no kidding.
I wish I'd known. I've met Bobby, and
Yep.
I wish we could have talked hot dogs. I'm a hot dog fan. I'm a hot dog freak. And one of the things I wanted to touch on tonight, not just hot dogs in general, but there's a really interesting cultural effect for hot dogs. Now, you talk hamburgers, you go to Cleveland, you go to someplace not so nice like the Bahamas, and you'll find hot hamburgers, 30 different kinds of hamburgers in every hamburger restaurant out there. But when it comes to hot dogs, there tend to be localized regional styles, like the Chicago hot dog. They say there are more hot dog stands in Chicago than there are fast food burger joints, McDonald's and the others, and regular burger. And all of the hot dog joints make the hot dogs the same way. There's 7 prescripted ingredients, and it's on every one of the Chicago hot dogs. And it's no ketchup. Ketchup is a sin in Chicago hot dogs. You go to New York, and you got the Coney Island dog. You got the Detroit Coney. There's a Seattle dog. There's a Dodger dog. And we can talk about what's it all. But they're all distinctive styles that you find almost only in those the Seattle dog. It's got cream cheese on it. You won't find cream cheese in a hot dog in Cleveland, I don't think.
Never.
No, or Chicago. So it's really kind of culturally cool. Now, there are hot dog manufacturers, and in Chicago we have Vienna beef, and there are different but the basic core hot dog is pretty much the same. all around. It's the toppings. And what's cool about it, and the reason I wanted to talk to you about it this month, is a fun idea for a party is to do hot dogs either on the grill or simmer them. Don't boil them, simmer them. And then put out a spread of the toppings so people can make themselves a Cincinnati dog, a Chicago dog, a New York a Coney dog, a Seattle dog, a Dodger dog. And it's just kind of fun. Let people make their... And what I love to do during football season, if the Bears are playing Seattle, then we cook Seattle dogs and we eat the enemy, which is an old tradition in Aboriginal cultures. You eat, you go out and you kill one of your enemies, bring them back to your camp, and you eat them. So we eat a Seattle dog when we're playing Seattle.
Yeah. I have to ask a question.
Of course, we don't have to do that if we're playing Cleveland because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. We suck. Let me ask you, because you had talked about preparation there, do it on the grill. Then you said simmer, don't boil. So simmer still means you have a tempered water of some kind.
Yes.
I feel like, because I've been told by one, real barbecue and grilling guys shit all over guys and gals that might even put a wiener in the water, boiling or simmering. In fact, Steven Reichland once told me that there is a 10th circle of hell waiting for people like me who boil hot dogs, if you can believe it. Said it right here on the show.
Well, all right. First of all, water is a solvent. That's why we wash our hands with it. That's why we clean our cars with it. Water is a solvent. Anytime you simmer or boil something, that solvent is extracting flavor. And in fact, if you go to New York City and one of the soubrette stands on every corner, and they have dirty water dogs, they call them, they're simmered hot dogs, and they're called dirty water because the water is gray. It has extracted color and flavor from the hot dog. So you do lose, but they don't always have a grill. And now, well, I think everyone who's listening to me here has a grill. We all know that a grill creates flavor. You get the Maillard reaction, the proteins and the amino acids change, and you get maybe a little bit of char, and you get some color, and you get maybe some smoke. So that's the best way to go. But your classic New York dog is a dirty water dog, and same thing for most cities. It's just simmered. If you the idea of not boiling holds for almost all meats. And we go back long before you and me, it came the expression low and slow. The reason for that is that when things are cooked at high temperatures, the proteins, the muscle fibers, they shrink. And when they shrink, they squeeze out juices. So whether you're doing brisket or hot dogs, you don't want to get it too high a temperature. So we say simmer. Simmer's around 190. Boiling, of course, is 212. So you want to keep it down under 200 or so to just warm it throughout. They're all pre-cooked. Almost all hot dogs are pre-cooked. And so all you got to do is heat them to 145, and they're safe.
So I remember going to old Cleveland Stadium on the lake. Well, I mean, the Brown Stadium's on the lake where the old Cleveland Stadium used to be. And we went to, when we moved to Cleveland, we would go to the then Cleveland Indians games, and they had the hot dog vendors walking up and down the aisles, calling out, doing the bark deal. You'd get the hot dog, open it up, dirty water dog comes out. And then, of course, the classic and only Cleveland mustard, which is gray-based mustard.
I love that mustard.
It's delicious. It looks really weird, but it's totally delicious. Burtman's Ballpark mustard.
It's a unique... talk about that so people can learn a little bit, because there are a lot of mustards out there, hundreds of. There's a mustard museum, but that particular mustard is unique to Cleveland, and it's really good.
Yeah, Burtman's was the original maker of that, and really gained its popularity and fame in the stadiums of Cleveland. Whether it was indoor or outdoor, you get a hot dog, there's always stadium mustard that was by it. You had packets of Plochman or Heinz yellow mustard if you wanted it, but there were big vats that you press down the top and do the ballpark mustard, because that is really what continues to rule the day here in Cleveland as we speak.
I think it's the best hot dog mustard out there.
Great. There's just like a little bit of a horseradish flavor, not heat, but a horseradish
Got
flavor.
A little kick.
Just a little.
Yeah.
It's very unique. I think one of the biggest tragedies over time, at least here in Cleveland, and you could tell me what's happening in Chicago, they've gone away from dirty water vending. You get a hot dog vendor now, feels like it's in a mail sack, and you ask for the hot dog, and out he whips a hot dog that is wrapped in a foil wrap-up, and hands it. No putting the dog together, no sitting in the water, nothing like that. Is that happening across this nation?
Well, that's your standard ballpark approach. I mean, they don't have time to assemble it for you as they're marching up and down the aisles, and they're wrapped in this foil thing. And, I did an article. I'm based in Chicago, as perhaps your listeners may know. And I did an article where I reviewed all the hot dog stands, or many of them in the Chicago area. And they got big points if they put it in a little box, if they treated it with respect, if they wrapped it in this paper-lined foil, and it got all smushed. That was points against them. I mean, treat it with some respect. But there's all kinds of ways of presenting them, and these little cardboard, they're like, the things you bury people in, and they're really much better.
I think one of the best ways to cook a hot dog, not necessarily on a traditional grill, charcoal, or gas, is taking a good size, this is going to sound double entendre, a good size wiener, cutting it down long ways, separating, not through, separating it out, and then going on the flat top, maybe a little butter before the hot dog, then right on it, flip it around, and then, oh my God, American cheese in the middle, toasted bun, put it on, and then the coup de grace, which of course most people would hate because they would say I have the palate of a 7-year-old. Little ketchup right down the middle. George Motes shits all over ketchup, but I mean, I'm not a big ketchup guy necessarily, but I don't mind it on a hamburger, and I don't mind it on a hot dog.
I don't mind it on a burger either, but hot dogs, no. But I'm in Chicago. The technique you described, splitting it down the middle and then griddling it, is quite common around the country. One of the most famous is Rochester, where they make what they call the garbage dog. Yep. It's a hot dog made by a company called Zweigel, and it's kind of a whitish hot dog. Nick Tahoe's garbage plate is they split it down the middle, and it's got all kinds of stuff on it. It's got French fries and smashed beans and macaroni salad and so on. But splitting it down the middle, there's another interesting technique that people do. You can take a knife and score the ends, the tips, so that as you cook them, the ends flare open and they get a little crunchy, and that's a nice technique. And then you can also lay the dog on a cutting board, and with a knife, just drag it across the hot dog at an angle, so you get sort of a slinky. And again, those edges crisp. Oh, and that's something else. Look for hot dogs with a natural skin. That's that's the snap. Now, a lot of them don't have a natural skin. They put them in a cellulose skin when they're smoking them and peel them off, and that's designed because sometimes kids get the skin. It sticks in their throat, so it's a child protection thing. But that's, I think, much ado about nothing. But I think you got to have a natural skin on it to be a really great hot dog.
Are you a fan of that product called Slot Dog? You familiar with Slot Dog? Slot Dog. It's a
do that once again.
Slot, S-L-O-T, Slot Dog. Do you know that?
I'm not familiar with it. No.
So hot dog on a plate, then you take the Slot Dog apparatus. And it's just, it's got like a gridiron of its sharp edges. You press it down on the hot dog. You flip it over. You press it down on the other side. Doesn't cut it all the way through. Then, as you're talking about, you cook, and because it's got all of these serrations in it now, it starts to expand and pop open and caramelize all over the place like it wouldn't normally otherwise.
Sounds like the slinky technique.
Yes.
Similar effect.
What about deep frying hot dogs?
We call them franchises, and they're not common, but they are popular in New Jersey, and there's a variation here in Chicago where they're wrapped in bacon and then deep fried, and that's kind of fun. But Jersey does fried hot dogs a lot. One of the best hot dogs I've ever had was in Burgundy, France, a little trailer alongside the road next to Clos Vougeot, which, if you know anything about wine, is one of the most fantastic vineyards and wineries in the world. And he was making hot dogs made from veal, so they were white. And he had a baguette, which he cut to the length of the hot dog, and then the baguette got skewered on a stainless steel poker that was about the same size as the hot dog. So it went up the middle of the baguette and toasted the interior of the baguette. And then he took the hot dog and dunked it in Dijon mustard, because Dijon is right up the road from Burgundy, and slithered this thing in a slightly sexual fashion up into this baguette. And boy, that was really good.
Wow. What, give me, like, off the top of your head, top 10 most popular regional style hot dogs in the country. Point that microphone to your face too, by the way. It's hanging down. Like point it up towards your mouth. You don't. There we go.
I'm always always got me screwing around with the damn microphone.
Well, you got to have the capsule by your mouth, otherwise we can't hear you.
It is.
Point it up.
Okay. Point it up.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
I love the Chicago hot dog. We call it dragging it through the garden because it's got a dill pickle spear on it.
It's delicious.
It's got 2 hot pickled peppers on there. It's got celery salt. It's on a poppy seed bun. It's got mustard, and it's got kryptonite green relish. But absolutely positively no ketchup. And they won't serve you ketchup in a Chicago hot dog joint. They have ketchup pumps for the French fries, but not for the hot dogs. The Cincinnati dog is good. It's got a ground beef. They call it a chili. Don't get the Texans in on this conversation. It's got a ground beef and bean chili sauce or ground beef sauce on top, and then shredded cheddar cheese on top. Down in West Virginia, they put coleslaw on top.
Yeah.
And that's a nice touch, unusual. I mean, some of these, they may not be to everybody's taste, but the coleslaw on top is an interesting touch. Up in Rhode Island, they have a version called Up the Arm, where the guy holds the hot dog buns on his arm, the forearm, and assembles them there. And there's a wiener. They call it a wiener, not a hot dog up there. Yellow mustard, a meat sauce, and it says don't call it chili. Chopped onions and celery salt. That's common for the. Let's see. New Jersey, of course, we mentioned has a lot of fried dogs, and there's one called the Italian dog in Jersey. Not surprising, probably something that Tony Soprano liked. And it's griddled and or deep fried, and it's put in like a boat made out of bread, maybe even a thick pita, topped with sautéed onions and sweet peppers and fried potato discs. Mustard optional.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at my favorite list here. Oh, in Detroit, they make the meat sauce or the chili from beef heart. Beef heart.
Wow.
And that's really different, really interesting. And of course, one of my all-time favorites is corn dogs. I'm addicted to corn dogs.
Yeah.
There's a good lively fight between Springfield, Illinois, and Texas, Oklahoma, Minnesota. So they claim to be the inventor of the corn dog. But they're not all that easy to make. You got to make this batter and dunk it in and fry it. Let's see, what else? Well, we mentioned the Seattle cream cheese dog. Yeah. In Hawaii, they have one called the puka dog. And they get a something like that one I talked about in France. They get a loaf of bread and they hollow out the center, and the dog goes up into the center with a signature sauce made with garlic, lemon, and pepper. And often tropical fruit sauces: pineapple, mango, papaya, coconut, star fruit, guava, banana.
Meathead,
so
let me ask you one last question here before I cut you loose tonight. In your heyday, in 10 minutes, how many hot dogs and buns could you eat?
Oh God! I've never been a mass. No, I'm not. I've just never challenged Joey Chestnut or wanted to. I mean, I almost always order a hot dog in an airport. You can always get a hot dog in an airport, and they're quick and easy. You can eat it as you're walking towards your plane. And I might eat 2, maybe in a pinch 3, but I just don't cram them down. But I really do enjoy them. I love that flavor, and I'll often eat it naked. Not me.
Plain dog?
Yeah,
wow.
Naked.
Yeah. All right.
Nothing on it. I love the meat.
If you need more hot dog information, there's only one place you should be going. It's AmazingRibs.com for further hot dog instruction and history and all that good stuff. And in the meantime, make sure you're getting Meathead's books that are available. He has 2 books available. Meathead, go ahead.
I was going to say, the basis for this conversation is an article I wrote called Hot Dog Road Trip. And if you go to AmazingRibs.com and search for Hot Dog Road Trip, you'll get all of these, including the Icelandic dog and all of these hot dogs.
And make sure that you put in the search bar Mustard Festival, where you can see a picture of Meathead screaming down some lady at the I think she was the Mustard Queen. It's one of the best photographs of Meathead ever.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I have it. I'll send it to you after I get off the show tonight.
But yeah,
it's one of my favorites. So, all right, Meathead, always appreciate the time, and we will see you in 3 months.
Always good to be with you, and take care, Centralites.
There he is, Meathead, right there. As always, yes, breaking down all of the hot dog histories. My dad in the Instant Chat M&M Hots, Elmira, New York. Go there no matter how long it takes or how much it goes. Is it even open still? I can attest, very tasty. I'm probably one of the closest ones that could go there in so many hours. All right, well, we're back with Robert Moss right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
Hey, we thank Meathead for joining us from AmazingRibs.com last segment. Look, I'm just saying this in advance of the emails that are going to flood in. I can only lead a horse to water so many times. And then, what can I do? It's like he's never seen a microphone in his life, how to use it. We've only been doing this for like 14, 15, 20 years. And the last 12, a microphone has been mandated. But, I mean, it couldn't have been hung more incorrectly to start. And it got worse over the segment. I saw it. Don't write in about it. I'm addressing it right now. And let's just let it go into the corner and die a slow, miserable death. Joining me now, though, is a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer and the contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living magazine. Our favorite guy, Robert Moss. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Greg, how's it going?
I am very well, and we just had a rousing wiener discussion with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Do you have a favorite hot dog regionality or a favorite hot dog in general?
I am particularly partial to the Carolina dog, which apparently did not make Meathead's list, but that is a distinctive product of the Carolinas. It is, let's see if I can get it right. It's chili. It is onions, mustard, and then slaw. Lots of slaw dogs down here in the Carolinas, and the Carolina dog has chili and onions and mustard all on them.
What does chili look like in the Carolinas as compared to some other areas?
It sort of depends on where you go, but I think by and large it is a beanless chili, almost like a chili sauce. It's like very finely ground beef and a sort of chili powder type sauce.
You ever had a Skyline dog in Cincinnati?
I've been to Skyline. Yes, I have. I've been to Skyline Chili a good bit, and I do like those.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I like it. It's Skyline Chili is very controversial, but I think you can eat those little dogs all day. I like it.
Yeah, so I can have I don't know, a dozen at a time. No onion for me, but I'll take the mustard, obviously the cheese and the sauce, and I'll go hot sauce on top of that because they always have hot sauce on the side at every table, or if you're sitting at the bar. Skyline to me is, as you said, controversial. It is almost the textbook definition of love-hate. I don't know anybody that's on the fence about a Skyline Coney or anything to do with their chili. Anybody in that place loves that shit, and everybody who's not in there hates it, and that's it. So there's no, I kind of like it. It's like being almost pregnant. I mean, you are or you're not.
Yeah, I definitely do like it. It is weird, I'll admit. It takes the first time you have one, that sort of all the spices in that chili are quite a shock to the system. But I took to it pretty quickly.
Were you shocked that only 75% of our embedded correspondents thought that the hotly anticipated ham segment met or exceeded expectation?
Shocked? No, I'm not even sure what I would expect it and what their expectations would have been going in. So, I'll point out, I don't think Doug said that it failed to meet his expectations. He just said it didn't exceed his expectations. So the question is, where were his expectations coming in? That this was really going to suck and it didn't exceed that? Or did he really expect it to be like the best segment ever? And I met it. So he really made that clear. So I'm going to choose the latter since it was ambiguous. But
I know it was the latter. I think everybody's, I'm speaking now for the audience and all of the embedded correspondents. I think when we were having the segment that spawned what ended up being the ham segment, we talked country ham, and then you threw out city ham and mentioned a couple other things, and everybody was like, whoa, who knew that there was such a cornucopia of ham? Everybody just thought it was the shit that's in the store that you see, country ham, and that there was not such a variety. And there is where, oh my God, we can't wait to hear the next segment because we're going to know so much more about ham than we did. So definitely the latter of the situation that you were talking about.
Okay.
Now, was in the Bahamas this past week. I had some Bahamian lobster. Not great, not horrible. Had some conch. Had it into like a cold salad, which was okay. Texture was like, but it was okay. Fried conch better than the other versions that I had. Never really saw a prototypical barbecue spot like I would see here in the States, at least not on Paradise Island. Wasn't necessarily looking for one in that setting. Is there a Bahamian barbecue culture that I need to know about?
Not one necessarily that I'm aware of. I mean, there is a Caribbean barbecue culture in general. I'm not so sure about the Bahamas, and if I don't think I've ever even been to the Bahamas, but been to a lot of other Caribbean islands, but certainly not a Bahamian style that I'm aware of. There is, of course, Jamaica has the jerk, chicken and jerk pork. The thing about that, my general impression of Caribbean barbecue per se is it's not what we would think of as American style barbecue, cooked low and slow on a pit, offset, indirect heat type of thing, but it's much more a grilled tradition. And in Jamaica, if you want to go like the traditional chicken jerk pork stands, they were actually cooking it about 2 feet up above a charcoal fire on big grills. So it's grilling chicken, grilling pork with the jerk marinade, which is this very fragrant, allspice and Scotch bonnet peppers, allspice being also called pimento, and apparently pimento wood is what you're supposed to use to cook over and flavor over. So that is a distinctive thing, and I think you'll find that kind of sort of grilled meats in various other places in the Caribbean, but not so much the same low and slow, long cooking tradition that you would find, say, in Texas or something like that. So yes and no, at least these days.
So now that we're talking about it, my memory was jogging a little bit. We were taking a bus back, and we ended up catching like the wrong leg. So then we had to go to this resort and this resort and blah, blah, blah. And we ended up kind of going through town a little bit, and there was a place, I believe it was called Anthony's, and it said best ribs in town. And then as we got around the other side of it, because that was like a big mural on a wall on one side, and then like where you would go in, the sign that you would walk under said Anthony's Seafood and Ribs. And I thought to myself, I think I have to question everything about how great those ribs are if they're leading with seafood. Would you be cautious as well?
I think the ribs are going to be probably different than what you're anticipating, but you see a lot of that in Florida as well. There are lots of sort of barbecue and seafood type places. They tend to be cooking. A lot of times they'll have like one of those dorum grills out back where they're sort of cooking the ribs and they're cooking seafood on it. So that is sort of a fairly common thing down in that down in the Caribbean or Florida. But yeah, I think the ribs are going to be a little more like a grilled type rib than what you're probably expecting in terms of like something that's been cooked in offset smoker and wrapped and held and all that good stuff.
We talked about maybe going back down in November, so I'll have to make it a point to stop into Anthony's and get some seafood and some ribs and see which one is actually better. I don't know if I saw any other rib institute in town, so best ribs in town might also be only ribs in town.
It could be. Yeah. It could be totally honest in the advertising, and they, who knows? But I'd be curious. Yeah, I certainly don't associate barbecued ribs with the Caribbean at all.
Outside of the jerk stuff and then the proper ingredients and ways of making it, are there any other Caribbean styles that have become famous or popular?
Well, I don't. You mean of barbecue specifically, or
grilled or anything?
Grilled. I mean, certainly the American barbecue tradition does have at least some roots in the Caribbean, and how it came to be is a little unusual. But certainly the name of barbecue itself comes from the Caribbean. It comes from this rack of sticks. It was called either something that sounded like barbecue or barbacoa in English and Spanish, barbecue or something like that in the Taino in the Indian languages, and that got picked up by the European colonists as sort of like the way of cooking on this rack of sticks over wood fire. The Native Americans were in the Caribbean were not cooking whole animals. They weren't cooking pigs up on those things. They were often using the dry fish or cook small cuts of meat and things. That somehow came to North America to Virginia and sort of got merged in. A lot of people will credit sort of the arrival of the African cooking traditions as sort of merging in Virginia and barbecue merged out of that. But there's certainly a shared lineage going all the way back to the Caribbean. Other than the jerk type style, I'm not aware of anything that is a particular Caribbean style. Though that kind of flavoring, if you think about citrus, you think about the pimento, the spices, and things like Scotch bonnet peppers, that has actually sort of moved into the U.S. and is used in a lot of different ways as well. So there is that Caribbean flavor influence, if not particularly necessarily a style of cooking that we don't have here in the U.S.
Any take on the 2026 Barbecue Hall of Fame class?
No, I mean, I think I sort of agree with Meathead on it. I think all four of the nominees were very worthy. I think probably, I can't remember if they all were semifinalists before or not, but certainly they sort of have been up, bubbling up toward the top. And so, I think a very worthy, if not surprising class in any way, because I think all four are sort of shoe-ins at this point. And I think it represents, like the committees typically try to do, a little bit of a, there's a restaurateur, there's a grill manufacturer, there's, Malcolm is sort of competitor and a media personality. And so I think you got that sort of blend of different backgrounds. So I think it's a good class, if not a particularly, no shockers there.
Do you think the process is still good for Barbecue Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Because I think I'm sort of like you. I've been out of it. I was on the committee for a while, and then I got busy, and then I haven't heard from them in a while. So I really don't know if it's changed or if it's the same as it used to be or not. So it has become a little bit quiet, I guess you would say. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the deliberations, but the format looks to be pretty much the same as the last couple of years. So I imagine the deliberation process hasn't changed.
Last question before I cut you loose. You had a fairly extensive piece on how the barbecue market is crashing for restaurants. Conversely, it's also budding and a great time to be in barbecue. So can it be both at the same time?
Well, I think my point was about the narrative per se. The narratives are both at the same time. Not so much the state. The condition is whatever the condition is. It's sort of how you want to interpret it. I think this is all pegged off about, I think it's right around Memorial Day, or maybe on Memorial Day. The Washington Post wrote this, I can't remember exactly what the headline was, but something like, the high price of beef is threatening some of Texas's oldest barbecue restaurants. Yeah. And it really presented in very dire terms that this is going to change the whole culture of barbecue in Texas and everything else. And then a bunch of other ones, starting with New York Post and then a bunch of other outlets, started running very similar features a couple of days later saying, Texas barbecue is about to disappear. The most famous joints in Texas are closing their doors. And literally things like some of the most famous joints in Texas. What's curious is they all sort of they weren't really doing their own research. They were all basically picking up quoting directly the pitmasters or the restaurateurs who the Washington Post article quoted. So they just sort of re-reporting it and adding their own spins on it. I think you can, but if you look at it, I think it's when I wrote about it, I said, there's over 3,000 barbecue restaurants in Texas. These articles listed about 4 or 6 restaurants that have closed in the past few months. None of them particularly old. None of them, nothing against the restaurants. Some of them are, quite good, but none of the most famous restaurants in Texas by any means are shutting down. You don't see Franklin Barbecue. You don't see Snow's. You don't see any of the Lockhart places closing down. That would be rather shocking. I don't want to minimize, because I've written a good bit about the challenges facing barbecue in general, and Texas barbecue in particular, because of the high cost of beef and all the other market forces, and that's very real. And barbecue restaurants are struggling. It's difficult, but at the same time, I don't see it as being like an existential crisis. If anything, barbecue is as popular as ever, and that's sort of driving the demand and driving the prices up. So it's barbecue is in an odd state, but I don't think it's doomed by any stretch of the imagination, at least not yet.
But potentially, June of 2026, your tongue-in-cheek call of brisket jumping the shark for the last 48 years really could kind of prove to be true this year, as more and more barbecue restaurants and retailers are certainly diversifying either out of brisket or only making a limited amount of brisket and increasing some of the offerings that aren't really taken into the shorts from a cost perspective.
Yeah, and you talk to any of the barbecue folks, the lots of interviews, they'll say, I'm not making any money off brisket. In fact, I would just assume the less brisket I sell, the more money I make. They would be much better off if people would switch up to other things. There's a strange tension where I think $40 is sort of a pound is sort of this sort of psychological mark that nobody wants to go over, both I think because they feel like they're charging too much. Their customers certainly hit the roof when they see the prices, and there's still customers, restaurateurs will say, you walk in, if you say we don't have brisket, they'll turn around and walk out. They aren't even going to look at what else is on the menu. Wow. So I do think this may prove the year. If brisket is suddenly $45, $46, $48 a pound, and you can get pork steaks and other delicious things for a lot less, maybe people will finally say, okay, I want to have barbecue, but I'm going to skip the brisket today. So far, it's sort of that inelastic demand. People still want it. They'll complain about it. Maybe they'll order a little bit less, but they're still ordering brisket. But we'll see. I'll probably be predicting that the jumping the shark thing again in January, but this may well be, I think it won't change the entire culture, but I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people start diversifying away to other cuts other than just brisket.
Any other topics you're working on that we should be subscribing to the Q Sheet for?
Oh, gosh, I'm always working on something. Let me think of on the barbecue front. I got some interesting things I'm working on the non-barbecue front. A lot of historical research and things like that. I'm working on the best new barbecue joints list for Southern Living, which will be coming out in the fall, early fall. So if you watch Instagram, you'll probably see later grams of places I've visited. So I have a whole lineup of, I'm heading out to Texas again soon. I have a whole lineup of places I'm going to be visiting that are all, fairly new and doing that best new barbecue joint list. I think I got a pretty good list, but if anybody has a candidate they want to send me a place that's open in, say, the last 2 years or so, brick and mortar restaurant, shoot them my way. I have a long list, but not long enough. There are still places opening their doors and staying open despite the news reports, and I'll be visiting a lot of them this summer.
Robert Moss is seen right here every month, 35 past the first hour. You can find him at robertfmoss.com. Robert, always appreciate the time and the conversation, and we'll see you in July.
All right, sounds good. See you then.
That's Robert Moss right there. Always bringing the information and the takes. And that's what we love most about Robert Moss. Teaching us something and also saying, this is where I'm standing on certain things. By the way, I agree. Quiet on the Hall of Fame front. I hope I don't have to go back on the railing. I'm not saying I'm going to do that. By the way, I got to say this. To listener Braden, if you're just listening, I apologize. I'm going to sign this. I'm going to autograph it and then send it to you. I still have your email. I was out last week, out of the country, gallivanting around, luxuriating at the Cove. But I'll get that book out to you. So don't worry. You know me in shipping. It's going to happen. Timetable is my timetable. Like, you're getting it for free. Get off my back, Jack. All right. We are pointing to the second hour. I would suggest at this stage of the game, you refresh your libations. You get yourself some high-quality protein and carbs if you're into that. I've already met my goals for the day. Thank you. And then you can come and return here where we have a whole new second hour of this show. And if you missed the first hour, if you're just tuning in now and you missed the great segment by Robert Moss that we just had, or you missed the hot dog segment that we talked to Meathead with or about, you don't have to worry about it. Yes, you missed it live. Yes, you missed Meathead's malfunction with the microphone. But it's all been captured on video, which automatically archives at the end of every show every Tuesday night. So you can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook. I don't know if it even takes a minute or two to really be all uploaded and ready for instant replay, but if you want to watch that show, you can do that around 11:10 tonight Eastern. Or if you want to subscribe to the audio podcast, which is how most of you take in the show, then just subscribe to the show, number one on podcast, and then you'll get hour number one tomorrow, and then you'll get hour number two on Thursday. Those are the logistics of what a live show looks like when it also goes into podcast. And oh, by the way, this whole show was a podcast first before it was a live show. Confusing enough? Great. Stick around. We'll be right back.